Let's just jump right in, shall we? Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at something that really proves the global AI race is moving at just a literally blistering pace. Seriously, it feels like the team at Alibaba does not sleep because they just dropped a brand new flagship model, the Qwen 3.7 Max. And let me tell you, the claims surrounding this release, they are absolutely massive. Look at this quote from our sources testing. It says, Alibaba is now genuinely entering conversations alongside proprietary giants like Anthropic, Google, and OpenAI. Think about that. For a long time, the absolute top tier of AI, the frontier models, that's been a pretty tightly locked club. But the data we're about to dig into suggests this is the absolute closest Qwen has ever been to leading that frontier race. So that naturally brings us to the central mystery of our explainer today. Can this new model actually beat those frontier giants? Because, it's pretty easy for a company to just put out a press release full of cherry-picked benchmarks, right? But it is an entirely different ballgame to put a model through grueling, long-horizon, real-world coding tests. Will the reality actually back up these massive claims? Let's find out. Section 1. Meet the AI challenger. Okay, so Qwen 3.7 Max is not just another chatbot you talk to. It's built specifically for what they're calling the agent era. And honestly, the leap in performance here is undeniable. Check out this number, 56.6. That is its score on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index. That's a massive 4.8-point boost over its predecessor. It also hit a 60.6 on the really rigorous Swaybench coding evaluation. So we're not just talking about incremental little bumps here. These are major, undeniable gains in scientific reasoning and coding. But okay, let's get out of the abstract numbers for a second and look at a really rigorous test. Our source pitted Qwen against Claude Opus 4.7 and GPT 5.5 in a long-horizon coding task. The goal? Iteratively improve a self-training tetraspot across 10 completely autonomous loops. Just look at the difference. Qwen completely dominated. It hit a 56% improvement gain, literally doubling Opus, and honestly leaving GPT in the dust. But here's the kicker. The absolutely crucial point isn't just that it won the challenge. It's what it cost to win. Qwen got that massive 56% performance gain for just $1.30. Opus 4.7? That cost $12.15 for literally half the results. That right there is the real wallet impact of this new model. It moves fast, it's highly efficient, and it gets the whole shebang done for just a fraction of the price. Section 2. Unbeatable price and performance. We really need to understand how Qwen achieves these tasks autonomously, because this is where the true magic of agentic workflows happens. 35 hours. The source testing showed the Qwen 3.7 Max is basically perfected for long horizon planning. It can sustain coherent reasoning across a 35-hour autonomous execution workflow. Just imagine that for a second. An AI working completely on its own for a day and a half, making 1,200 continuous tool calls to debug, rewrite, and improve code, all without losing its context window or drifting off topic. I mean, that is staggering focus. And making that level of workflow actually accessible requires a highly aggressive pricing model. API access runs $2.50 per 1 million input tokens and $7.50 for output tokens. But honestly, perhaps the most incredible fact here? The web chat interface is just completely free to use. No way, right? But it's true. Now, as your guide through this explainer, I do have to keep things balanced and objective here. This model is incredibly powerful for sure, but it does have a very distinct limitation right now. It is exclusively text-based. It's not multimodal. This means it currently cannot process audio, image, or video inputs. It is a pure, highly focused text and coding engine. Section 3. Putting it to the test. All right, it's time for the reality check. Our source actually asked the model to generate a functional macOS clone from a single prompt, and the results were just staggering. It generated an entire bottom toolbar with accurate SVG icons for every single app. It coded a functional top toolbar where the brightness slider and spotlight actually work. It created a functioning Finder, system preferences, a working Paint app, and, get this, even threw in a fully playable game of Snake. The sheer volume of working UI from one single prompt is just incredible. But again, let's keep it grounded, right? What does it excel at and where does it fall flat? Well, when provided a screenshot of an Airbnb listing, it cloned the UI components perfectly. It was also able to generate beautiful editorial SAS typography that looked identical to high-end Claude outputs. But if you ask it to generate an SVG world map, yeah, as our source noted, it does quite bad. It completely fails, basically producing a tacky, unreadable mess. So it's brilliant at UI, but definitely struggles with certain specific vector graphics. Section 4. Building worlds and games. Now, when pushed to 3D, the model shows some seriously advanced spatial reasoning. Asked to build a realistic 3JS aquarium, it simulated the physics perfectly. Check this out. You can enable a feeding mode, click the water, watch food drop dynamically, and actually see the physics engine command the fish to rise and eat. That is a highly complex multi-step physics simulation, all generated from just a single prompt. Next up, the model was tasked with generating a 3D solar system. And wow, it nailed the architectural lighting perfectly. As the planets orbit the sun, the dark side of the planets facing away from the light source are accurately shaded. It even generated the asteroid belt and Jupiter's eye. Though our source did point out a pretty humorous flaw. The way it coded Saturn's rings to move was a little bit strange and, well, physically impossible. But hey, still highly impressive. And for the final stress test, we have a fully functional Minecraft clone. The successes here are mind-blowing. Not only can you break and place blocks, but if you dig down deep enough, the model actually generated these highly complex underground cave systems. But, balancing the scales again, it totally messed up the water physics. The water is there, but it's completely broken. You literally just walk straight through it like it's thin air.
Section 5. The final verdict.
Okay, so we've seen the raw benchmark numbers, the unbelievably low cost, and the mind-bending 3D coding. The core takeaway from our source's rigorous tests is summarized really perfectly here. Qwen is surprisingly solid at architectural reasoning, as well as working through different web development tasks. This isn't just some cheap alternative anymore. It's a highly capable tool for sustaining coherent, long-form autonomous workflows. It's the real deal. Which leaves us with a massive, provocative question to end on today. When a wildly affordable model can clone operating systems, code complex 3D physics, and sustain 35 hours of autonomous thought, well, are the days of the expensive proprietary AI giants numbered? It is a fascinating shift in the landscape, and I highly encourage you to look deeper into agentic workflows. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.